Toby's trying to get a word in here.
Real high.
Ready? Yes! We're doing this live.
Everybody caught that, right?
Pastor Toby, Chuck Knox, I'm the water boy. We got campus preacher Keith Darrell, King Ginger, Marcus Pittman in the studio. It's going to be a rowdy show for multiple reasons.
This is our last
But
show.
before we get there, this is our last show. This show, you might as well share it now because we're going to get canceled on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the things because
if we don't get canceled, I'm not sure if we're doing it right.
Yeah. After this show, hey,
so long, Facebook.
There is a conference. Pastor Toby and Aaron Snell are going to be at a conference May 21st.
I'm sorry.
Through May 23rd. You can go to it's in Wisconsin. It's in Wisconsin, right?
True.
Is that what
It's not a statement, Gabe.
I got
it's a men's conference.
You can sign up at this Google form that I'm probably just going to have to email out, which reminds me, go to our website to get on our email list because we're going to get canceled after this show from social media.
If you ever want to hear from us again.
Jump on our email list, and I'll send out the form for people to register if they're in Wisconsin area.
Aaron Snell's leading psalm singing, the war songs of the church. I'll be speaking on manhood and masculinity. It should be a great time. It's up in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, up north.
Speaking at it?
May 21st, only 23rd. Me and myself, and also I.
Keith's like, can I come? Can I come speak? You need to speak. I'm here.
I don't want any speaking.
I'll be speaking 4 times, and then Aaron's leading psalms, and then there's church on Sunday. So it's a men's conference. Check it out. There's a link in
Keith's like, I'm a man. I can speak.
We'll have to send out the email because it's a long Google Doc link.
Or email us, and we'll send it to you.
That's right. The other thing I want to bring your attention to is we got friends who've planted a classical Christian school in San Luis Obispo. San Luis.
We call it slow.
San Luis. Slow, if you're local.
Maybe the most beautiful part of the country.
And it's fantastic. And we have friends down there, and they want to get connected to kind of like-minded people in California. So whether you're in L.A. or San Diego or Northern California, they would just love to get connected to more like-minded people in California.
They want to share life with other people?
And hopefully the goal would be to kind of eventually find more people in their region that could either, that's interested in the school or teachers for the school or just want connections to the school and everything. So my friend Trent, email him at Trent@Frigone, FRIGONE.com. Trent at Frigone.
If 100 of you move there, I'll move there and pastor.
.com
and the website is ChristClassicalSlow.org. ChristClassicalSlow.org for the Classical Christian School.
They're great people down there.
Yeah, check them out.
Okay. One last, we got to kind of rush through this because we got a great show ahead. So this last plug I want to make sure you guys are aware of is our buddy Dennis Sarfate. Is that right? Yep. I want to say there's multiple ways I want to say it, but I'll say it that way. I love you, Dennis. They're working as part of they're helping with the recount in Maricopa right now, and they actually need more recounters.
Yeah, they need about 200 more people. So you have to be a resident of Maricopa County. And if you're a resident of Maricopa County, you can email him.
Can you identify as a resident of Maricopa County?
Self-identify?
I mean, I feel like you could.
Yeah, I mean,
let them take it to court.
Email
take it to court.
Dennis,
they're way more serious about their elections than they are.
Oh, okay.
So email Dennis.
Yeah.
So we're not there yet, Marcus. Hold on.
I'm sorry. I can't wait.
Email Dennis Sarfati at dennis.sarfati@redstatereform.com.
Say it again.
Dennis DENNIS Sarfate SARFATE at redstatereform.com.
Do it.
Okay, do it. We need more. They need more counters down there.
Ballots in Maricopa County
and everything. I forgot to do all my slides. We have our magazine subscription is our next magazine is coming out in June. So you got to sign up now if you want to get into this issue.
What is that one? That one is
it's on feasting
in the presence of my enemies.
Yep. It's going to be fantastic. We got Rosaria Butterfield writing for us. Pastor Toby, me. Doug,
apology to my brother. I haven't turned in my article yet. I'm sorry.
I know.
Your literal brother.
I'm finishing it.
No, my brother.
Real brother.
I'm finishing mine this
I'm
afternoon.
I'm going to see him at Sabbath dinner, and he's going to have a word for me.
So go to FLFnetwork.com, get into this.
It ain't from the Lord.
We have so many plugs we're trying to get through here real quick. Lastly, Politics of Sex, our conference in September. Man, we got a lineup that's coming.
Back in Nashville, just outside of Nashville.
Join thousands of us.
September 9th.
There's going to be thousands there, September 9th through the 11th. Pricing and registration will be out.
Notice that on the picture you can tell which ones are boys and girls.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It's really awesome.
And the reason why for that is we're going to do a Logos Online plug in another segment and everything. But the reason why that's important to note there is because the colors are different is because Bruce Jenner is running for governor of California. We got a little. The promo was just released this last week. That's Bruce, just so you know.
I've always been a dreamer.
We noticed.
California was once the envy of the world. We had what everyone else wanted. The American dream grew up here. Yet career politicians and their policies have destroyed that dream. It's been locked away, closed, shuttered, left in the dark, burned down. The government is now involved in every part of our lives. They've taken our money, our jobs, and our freedom. California needs...
I gotta stop there. What's wrong with them taking the money and jobs? I mean, if you can become a woman, what's wrong with the government want to do what they want to do?
Right.
Don't believe the music, by the way.
No.
Don't believe the music.
This is like high quality lies.
Well, I would like to mention that the trans activists have taken away people's freedoms too.
Right.
So like freedom of speech and all this stuff. They're trying to get the hate speech legislation and stuff.
Right.
So it's people like Bruce who are taking away our freedoms.
Right. Right. Because our fundamental freedom is to exist in the image of God.
Right.
That's we exist as free creatures, not our own gods, not our own makers, our own creators. And what Bruce is, what he stands for, is that tyranny.
Yeah.
And that's
Play the clip because I want to see how many other people can vomit.
All right.
no.
So that was the campaign video. So
we're
Sean
done?
Hannity.
Oh, that's all we can take.
Sean. That's it. I'm done.
I want to punish y'all. I had to edit this.
No.
No. Y'all understand? When you edit something, you got to get the tabs, you got to get tails, you got to listen to it 5 or 6 times, get it all done. Then you got to export it, and then you got to watch it again.
Sir,
we ain't doing it.
Mr. Knox, you do that to yourself.
So Bruce was on Sean Hannity this past week, and Sean, what was Sean?
Are you a Republican? Are you a Democrat? Are you independent? And I really
Are you
want
a
you
man
to
or
define
woman?
this term, a compassionate
fluid,
disruptor.
politically fluid.
What is a compassionate disruptor?
I've kind of played around with that term.
Stop it!
Originally, I started out as a compassionate disruptor, and then I was thinking the other day, I think I'm more of a thoughtful disruptor. I have common sense.
No!
That's a perfect pause. Common sense.
Says the dude in a dress. Okay.
Yeah.
And Sean Hannity didn't laugh.
I have common sense. No, you don't.
Did Hannity lean? I didn't see outside the clips we've seen. I've not seen the interview.
God bless you.
Did Hannity lean in on any of this?
Lean
call
in?
it out? Or did he just kind of let go?
No.
Like, this is American conservatism. Like, Sean Hannity's like the
That's
poster
right.
boy
That's
of
right.
American conservatism.
Yeah, but he's also somebody that will simp for anyone who has the potential of being in power.
Ooh.
He's always done that. He was anti-Trump until the point where
Yep.
Trump was the one,
And then he became. Trump's way.
completely.
And here's the thing.
So
This is conservative.
Just to be really clear, what we mean by that is he's a prostitute.
That's right.
Exactly. He's
Sean,
a
Sean Hannity.
He's a political prostitute.
He's a whore.
Okay,
Yeah, right,
that's
biblical
what that
language.
means.
Yeah. Right,
Okay,
that's
I just want to be really, really clear. I mean, maybe some people know what simp means, but I just like that. The biblical word is prostitute, whore.
Yeah.
And he is whoring for political power.
Yeah.
Correct.
And prestige.
This is what you have though when your heart is not serving the true God.
That's right.
You're chasing after idols. You're whoring after other idols. Whatever victory looks like, Sean Hannity doesn't care.
Right.
I can't help it. This is like shameless plug. This is conservative media.
Right.
This is what it's become.
Yeah.
Literally, please support Cross Politics. Join the club. Support the Not the Bee. Support all these conservative organizations
We will
who
burn
aren't
this,
going to do this thing.
We will burn this joker down
This
before we
is
ever did something like this.
This
I
is
promise you I'd
ridiculous.
light it on fire. I will
right.
light this joker on
If Hannity
fire.
does he bust out laughing at any point?
Never,
No,
never.
he actually
if we
opened-
ever did this, cancel all your club memberships.
No, they wouldn't have
Be done with
to.
us.
They wouldn't have to. I'm telling you, I would burn this joker on fire.
That's right.
All right.
I would light the whole thing up. We would never do this.
I hate to do this to you guys, but I got some more clips.
Transgender sports, people that like Joy that say the wrong thing.
Joy that says, I mentioned a second ago, my mom sometimes, when she gets upset, I don't have a problem with that. The community has a bigger problem with that than I do. I stick with my statements that I made. I think we have to make sure that the integrity of girls' sports is there. I think that's extremely important.
You got to be kidding.
But it's
Girl?
there's more to it than just what I said, because I just said biological boys in sports. There's more to it than that. And I think in the future I will explain more of that. But for
But I don't know
me,
what that is right
as
now.
a
All right, we'll stop there. I can't finish that clip. I'm sorry, Knox. I know you put all this time in editing those clips.
I want everybody to feel how I felt having to edit this together.
So
Sean Hannity actually got up and called Bruce Caitlin, and he said something like, you were an athlete. I really respect athletes. And I don't understand how the athletic side gets to follow whatever this is now, right? I don't understand how that happens. Yeah. What technically should be happening is like, whoever that other person was, they were an athlete. They won medals. Right. They were the hero.
They were a better man than you.
Right. Yeah.
That's right.
Right.
But and so Hannity's playing the whole game right along, just calling. But okay, so here's the thing that really bothers me about this. As I'm going through,
I don't think we can finish the list of the things that really bother me about this.
There's a couple things though, because right now this is horrible. This is really bad. Yeah. But I can't help but think that the way that we've truncated the gospel has led to this type of situation. And what I mean by that is we've been talking for 30, 40 years with a gospel that doesn't actually touch the world. Mm-hmm. We've had a gospel that changes our heart, that transforms us internal, but it doesn't actually have any effect in the world whatsoever.
And you can see it immediately play out. Like if it just touches the internals of me, the externals don't matter.
Right. Exactly.
Whereas like what we are seeking to do here is if you have a rich creational theology, made him in his image, male and female, then you have an incarnation, then you have a resurrection, then it's just not this internal thing. Right. Because I've even heard people make that argument on campus that, my soul is female.
Right.
I just happen to, it's almost like this Buddhist-y type thing or this Hindu thing.
They got discipled in that in the modern evangelical church.
Yeah.
Because the old heresy is Gnosticism.
That's exactly it.
It's Gnosticism come back, and Gnosticism is all about this sort of secret knowledge, this hidden internal thing. It completely
spiritual.
It bifurcates the spiritual and the physical. So the spiritual is what matters. It's the most important. It's the most divine, the most heavenly, the most godlike. And the spiritual, the physical, either doesn't matter, it's just completely irrelevant, or it's evil and bad. But regardless, we've been marinating in that kind of Christianity for decades, and so it's not really any surprise that you come along and you say, well, what really matters is on the inside. What really matters is the spirit. What really matters is your soul. And then what you really are is whatever you decide you are.
That's right. Well, we've been preaching it in a lot of ways, and what it sounds like is, so what about the social issues going on over here in the world? It's like, just preach the gospel.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like. That's what Christian Gnosticism sounds like. Just preach the gospel. Yep. Because what they're saying is that the Bible, and this is where people who are autonomous, who don't want to be theonomous in this, are acting. Mm-hmm. When you act autonomously from God's word, this is what you get. Mm-hmm. This is who you are. This is what the release down the road. But when you start saying, well, hold on, the Bible actually has something to say about immigration. The Bible has something to say about manhood and womanhood. The Bible has something to say about police officers. The Bible has something to say about stealing and shooting a person in daylight if it's not justified. We have answers for this. We don't have to just say preach the gospel. It's an outworking of the gospel. The gospel is changing the heart. And look, when Adam fell into sin, creation fell with him. Right. When Christ was raised from the dead, he has made all things new. All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go and make disciples. That's the new world. Make the world, I've made the world new. Now go tell everybody there's new authority and new leadership and preach the word and while you're doing it.
That's absolutely true. The thing I want to come back around just to the Hannity thing here real quick. And when we were talking about this, Gabe, you said something like, Jenner doesn't have a chance in California.
Yeah.
And my thought is, he does now.
Thanks, Hannity.
Okay?
That's right.
Okay, if he gets elected,
if
Bruce Jenner gets elected, it will be thanks to Fox News.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
These fools, these prostitutes, who are going along with this new. I mean, the emperor has no clothes.
Right.
Literally. Right. God's like, here's a funny joke, guys.
Yeah. And here's an easy one.
Here's a really easy one. And Hannity's like, can I get an interview?
Right.
Can I get 15 minutes with you in a hangar with socially distanced?
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk to you like you're the emperor's new clothes.
Yeah.
Are real. Like that's legit. Like this, right? Why? Yeah. Because apparently he has a chance to own the Dems. Own the libs.
Even coming out of it, it was only just on Twitter, but Trey Gowdy and one other politician, I don't remember who it was, they were trying to now go after trans activists for pushing back against Bruce. And so the thing that's amazing is how this has now become like this, look how tolerant we are as conservatives, and they're not articulating anything that's actually conservative.
There's an article on the Federalist today. Damn it. Right? Mm-hmm. Seriously. I mean, in the Federalist today saying conservatives are the real trans,
supporters or something. Oh my goodness.
Right?
Okay.
And if you're defining that as, hey, Bruce, you're really Bruce, okay, then maybe.
Right.
But if it's some crazy equivocation on what it means to support them,
No.
okay. But if it's like, oh no, we're for trans.
All
whatever it
the
is.
clothes are falling off conservative media right now.
No. Every time you have a serious conversation, you may not have a serious conversation with this clown.
Right.
Okay?
That's right.
He is dressed up like a clown. This is not a woman.
Right.
Okay? It's not a woman. And
Preacher.
he is insulting every real woman in the world.
Yeah, this
okay?
is blackface for women.
Okay, this absolutely
That's right.
is. And you must hate this.
But here's where the conservatives have gotten pushed into. I think a lot of conservatives in California are relieved that Bruce is running as a Republican.
Of course.
Why?
Because they've been cast as the racist. The conservatives have been cast as the haters, the homosexual haters, the LGBT
It's not
haters,
just
and all this,
that.
and they're like, "Hey, look, a relief."
Yeah, it's not just
Like,
that. Yeah, the same
we
way
got
they've
a
been doing
tranny
with black
running for
people for a long
Republican.
But what they're doing is playing by the very rules
Exactly.
the liberals
No.
told.
No, exactly.
They cannot play that game.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that being a conservative meant you had conservative family values. Right. And like this is, I mean, look, a party that supports this, Sean Hannity can support this and say with a straight face, that is not a party that's ever going to end abortion.
No.
Like it's not a party that's ever going to do anything like that.
Of course.
No.
Like we give it all up.
Right.
So here's a question. Here's a question real quick.
Christian churches have been already doing this already. Christian churches and ministries have been hiring our black brothers just because of the color of their skin.
Yeah, because they want to take
They're
the pressure off.
playing by the intersectional rules.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, and if you go out to we're in Idaho, but you go out to the coast, and like I was in a PCA church that went to EPC because they thought to be more relevant by having women elders, and what it's gradually done is now they're losing their elders to the LGBT stuff, and so it's this constant idea that somehow we're going to win them if we just get like them enough, rather than pressing the antithesis. I think it's pressing that antithesis actually the drawing thing.
Right,
The
Keith.
biblical name for this, and I repeat myself, is prostitution.
Yeah, they're whores.
That's what they're doing, and it's the thing that the prophets bring against Israel over and over again. You're whoring after the nations. You're whoring after their gods. And I don't think we understand frequently when we talk about those gods. You think of some monstrous picture or statue in a black sanctuary or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, there was a face like that. But remember that all of those idols were tied to cultural relevance, cultural success, business success, military prowess,
Exactly.
sex.
Yep.
All of that, all this
That's
stuff.
right.
People haven't changed that much. Why did you go and sleep with a prostitute? Why did you go offer the sacrifice to the idol? Because you wanted to have a good harvest, because you wanted to be invited to the right parties, you wanted to be successful in your town and in your community, you wanted to be accepted, you wanted to be considered relevant. Okay? That's called prostitution. It's idolatry, it's adultery, and the church taught the world to do it first. We taught Hannity to do it first.
Yeah, we've been doing it exactly.
And so we need to just press the antithesis. It's Christ or nothing. It's life or death, black or white.
It's inescapable.
That's it.
When we come back, I have a question on the end of this, and then we'll wrap
Okay.
in turn. I want to
Okay.
ask you guys a question when we come back. Okay? More cross-pol. Are we still on? Have you shared the show?
Are we still on YouTube?
Push this show
Facebook?
far and wide. If not,
Download our app.
Yes,
Download our app.
We loved you, YouTube. It was great while it lasted. More cross-politics coming up next.
My name is Jamie Piles. I joined Samaritan in December of 1996, so I'm coming up on 24 years. When people ask me, does it really work? I say, oh, it works fantastic. I send my money to somebody every month. But we had a need. My wife spent a little bit of time in the hospital about 3 months ago, and so I had a checklist with about 39 names on it, and 39 checks came in. Some of the cards, some of the things people had to say, it was amazing to watch.
Welcome back to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. This segment, actually the whole show,
Really?
the whole thing.
Really?
Everything.
Brought to you by Fox.
Brought to you by Logos Online School, providing a Christ-centered classical education for grades 7 through 12 that is both affordable and accredited. Their mission is to support parents as they raise their children in the nurture and admonition
Praise God.
of Jesus. Classes meet online daily, Monday through Thursday, with outstanding teachers who take a personal interest in your student. Unlike other programs, there are no extra fees for diploma students and honors classes. Registration is open for fall classes now.
Yes.
Go to logosonlineschool.com. because you don't want your kids to turn out like Sean Hannity.
Bars.
You must have bars.
So when we ended that segment, the question I wanted to ask you guys after the end of that. So listening, I watched the whole interview. I watched the
How
whole
long was
interview.
it? How long was it?
Well, they broke it up a little bit, but it was about the whole show, 30, 40 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. I watched about 15 minutes of it, and I was.
And so here's something that I saw
done.
that was, first of all, I couldn't get past the fact that is not a woman.
Right.
That is not a woman.
Right.
My wife, real woman.
Right.
She has a womb. She gave birth to kids.
Why doesn't Hannity ask him ever about how his uterus is, or how his chromosomes are?
Right. Yeah.
Or I mean, I know this is like getting personal and everything, but he's the one bringing it up.
Yeah, run the reductio.
Yo.
So the thing that's happened though, watching this, I was watching myself and watching the whole thing, which is something you should do anytime you watch the news is watch yourself, not just the news,
Yeah,
watch yourself. Because they're designed.
Don't be mindless about it.
It's a form of art and communication. It's designed to suck you somewhere, push you somewhere to get you to do something.
Right.
Watch CNN long enough, I'm telling you. But one of the things that happened as I was watching myself is that once you got past the comforts of seeing that, which I really didn't get past it, you started listening to the arguments. And all of the ways that he decided to line it up politically sound very familiar.
Right.
And almost like, well, I mean...
That's the lies of that promo video
That's
we started
right.
with.
That's right.
When he's running for governor, he's doing the whole conservative narrative.
That's right.
But you have to recognize, like, this is Adolf Hitler saying he's running on family values.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And so...
Which he did.
And he
Which
did. He did.
Yeah.
And compared to where they were, it was a lot better, to be honest with you. So that's not even a question as far as family, well, part of it. But here, so as I'm watching this, all the things are sounding like, getting rid of taxes and
Open up
taxes,
churches.
the border, open up churches, businesses,
Be able to
small
go to the
businesses,
beach.
all this stuff.
And all the pastors are like,
so
yeah, open up churches, Bruce.
all of a sudden, conservative people are saying, well, I technically would be better under Bruce than I would be Gavin. So I'm going to ask you a question. If you had to choose between Gavin Newsom and all his shutdowns and lockdowns and stuff, are you choosing Gavin or are you choosing Bruce?
I think I'm going Bruce just because Gavin reminds me of every Antichrist figure of 1990s end times movies. And so Gavin Newsom is the Antichrist in every Left Behind movie of the 90s.
And what is Bruce?
And we know, we know Bruce isn't that. He doesn't have the slick back hair. So, so I'm going Gavin Newsom.
Okay.
So, all right, yeah.
We're going to talk to you after the show.
Yeah,
But the Christians need to refuse the false dichotomy.
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
It's
I
like,
said-
if you have to worship Aphrodite or Athena, who do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Neither
Neither.
one. Right? We're Christians.
That's right.
You don't bow to that. And
That's
you,
right.
like, but he's got an R by his name.
Yep.
Yeah. But he's got a dress on.
Yep.
Right? He is defying the living God, high-handed. He is a wicked man.
Well,
he is evil.
And the reality is, there's not going to be a false dichotomy in this race because there's going to be a number of other candidates.
So they're
that
going
are
to take
there.
Pastor Toby and they're going to burn him in front of the arena and dome. Marcus, what's your Keith is going to do just like he did with Gabe. He's going to sit there and be a good guy and not
He's
get
going to
burned.
stand on the. He's going to stand on the dog.
Blessed are the peacemakers, y'all. Blessed are the peacemakers. I'm over here being blessed.
I said I would be in the gulag immediately. But I think the thing that people don't understand is because we don't have a Christian worldview of our politics is that we don't understand that voting for a candidate like Bruce Jenner is a judgment on a whole different level of things that might not even be seen within their political position. Mm-hmm. So it's like God is judging California. Like that's the stuff that makes California fall in the water.
Right.
That's
right.
The state is a total mess. Like even in Bruce's little clip there, like I remember driving like 7 or 8 blocks that I just recorded driving through LA where it was just tents all lining like everywhere. It was, I've never seen so much poverty in my life. And then you go 10 minutes away and then you see complete wealth. You know what I mean? You get to Brentwood and you get to Beverly Hills. And so like the state's destroyed. And so like I can see why people are out there for finding something, but they don't want the gospel.
God's
like, you go
sending
there and
plagues.
preach, they don't want the gospel. So.
So out of all the people for Hannity to interview that actually are probably good candidates, we talked to Major. What's I can't remember.
Major Williams. We had him on the show. Major Williams.
I don't know why he's not. I mean, if Hannity's going to give his time to somebody to interview,
right? If you're going to even suck up to the intersectional gods,
he's a black guy.
Well,
I mean, you got all the
but Hannity has whoring standards.
Oh,
right.
well,
He's not going to bring Major on.
No.
Wow.
Why?
Because there's no benefit to Hannity.
Yeah, you're going to get more.
There's no excitement there. There's no There's no big orgasm there for Hannity.
Because Major doesn't have fake breasts.
That's right. That's right. He's not going to get Hannity any more credibility or any more recognition.
So so during the show, the Fight Laugh Feast rally, man, thank you guys for coming to that. It was amazing meeting so many people there. There were a lot of new people there.
People came from all over the country.
Driving 14,
I think it was
15
like
hours
38 states
that were represented. That was
right.
My
One
Minnesota
guy from
folks.
Peru.
Yeah.
Right.
A dude from Peru
flew in from Peru.
Pray for his family. They're missionaries actually in Peru.
Yeah.
And Peru's kind of a difficult place right now with all the shutdowns and everything too. But
So
pray for him and his family.
One of the conversations that everybody's having after 2020 has been, our constitutional rights are being taken from us, and we see the first one that's collapsing. And so we know this is a domino effect. And so people have really been asking, when do we shoot back? And if we do, the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to come for our Second Amendment rights. And so I wanted to have this conversation, but we didn't have enough time. But this is kind of what we got through at the conference, at the rally. Sheriff Wheeler, and you guys can jump in on this too. One of the things that I keep talking to my friends about is they're very concerned about the Second Amendment right now because they're seeing what's happened with the First, and that's gone. So then we're just going all the way up, right? And the question that they're asking is, what do we do, being that we're singing psalms to defy our tyrants? What do we do, though, if they come for our guns? If we're going to run the play, if we need to think about this so we're not in the moment stuck, right? We've trained for this. How do we start reacting to that moment when we get on the door?
Okay, I think there's an unrealistic fear right now to believe that the government's coming after our guns. Then let me explain that in this way.
You better do it quickly, because
okay, very real quickly. What happened when Biden signed an executive action order to open up the borders in Texas? The next day, a federal lawsuit went to the Federal Court of Appeals, and that was canceled, so that Texas sent 160,000 troops to the border and stopped them. There's no way that Congress is going to pass a bill that is not going to the federal courts and finally end up in the state courts. And I've said it before. Each state has their own rights, and we just need to stand on the 10th Amendment and say, federal government, you can do whatever you want, but we're standing on the Constitution. The Second Amendment guarantees that we have a right to keep and bear arms. Our state constitution says we have to do that. So go away. As long as you have a strong governor, you have a strong legislature, and a strong people, they're going to say, go away. You're not taking our guns.
But we don't.
I'm telling you that I will be at the front porch.
But we're not in your county, though. That's the problem.
But I'm just saying, I don't believe we're to that point yet.
Okay, so we didn't have enough time to really work this out.
Right.
There's a lot there. And so what do you guys think?
Well, I disagree.
Okay.
I think Biden's already come out and said he already just gave a talk a while back ago. So, and then I don't trust our Supreme Court, and I think we have a
really.
I don't trust our Supreme Court. I think.
But that's not the worst part. I think it's actually our state governments. He's leaning up against our state governments, expecting them to push back against the Supreme Court.
Yeah, I mean, our state governments are putting Bruce in.
Right.
I don't see
our conservatives are putting Bruce in.
You cannot trust the authority of the Constitution if you don't know the difference between a man or a woman.
Right.
Like the judges who are going to go, that's going to go up to, like if they don't know the difference between a man and a woman, then how are they going to know the detailed implications of the way the Constitution was written?
To them, to keep and bear arms means that we can take away your guns.
First of all, let me just say this.
Right.
Man, Sheriff Wheeler.
Yeah.
I want to be in his county.
He's a dude.
I'm going to tell you, because a guy like that
guy.
is what he just said.
That's right.
I would die for this.
Yeah,
that's what he just said.
That's right.
But the problem is, haven't we seen that there's not a whole lot of Sheriff Wheelers out there?
That's right.
There's
Yeah,
not.
and I think that's a challenge. So if you take Kuiper's fear of sovereignty, like at this point, even when it boils down to the people, like we're just impotent. You know what I mean? So the state's not pushing back. The people are impotent. So I hate to disagree with the sheriff, but it has that element where even on a state level, the people aren't going to push back. That's one of the things I raise is like, when do we shoot? Because at the end of the day, the power of the Second Amendment is a person willing to use it. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like in our culture, we have a de facto relegation of the First Amendment because people are afraid to speak up on things. But I've yet to see a political issue where someone is willing to shoot.
I think you need a lesser magistrate that says, go load up your guns. It's time.
Right.
Well, and if we're putting in Bruce Jenner, like that's the question you have to ask when you're voting for a governor or lesser magistrate is, are these people willing to protect me from the federal government or the governors above them, right? So like that's the thing, and I don't think that Bruce Jenner in any way would protect you from federal overreach.
So one of the things that I was thinking about with this is, first of all, I mean, Keith, I hear you like, when do we shoot? But I'm stepping back a little bit further. The way that they're going to come for our guns isn't the way that we think they're going to come for our guns.
It's probably not going to be the knock on the door.
It's not going to be a knock on the door. People don't understand this.
Versus Orwell.
I think, and it was Steve Deace that said this, you don't have a Second Amendment now. When you go to buy a gun, what do you have to do? Who gives you approval for a gun?
Yeah, the government.
The government gives you approval to have a gun.
That's right.
And
if you fail the background check, you don't get the gun.
They are deciding who gets to have a gun and who doesn't. So your Second Amendment is already in contingency.
Yep.
The other thing is that, if we can go out and sing psalms and actually present outside, present ourselves to our city council, and people get arrested for exercising their First Amendment, and they're arrested not by some random person on the street, but by guys who swore to uphold the Constitution.
That's right.
That's who we're getting arrested by.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
So we talking about the Second Amendment, Steve Deace is right.
Yeah, we don't
it's
have one.
gone because the first one is the first one is there, but the second one is there to protect the first one.
Right.
The first one toppled down in 2020. I mean, it toppled all the way down.
Big time.
Right.
And the way that they're coming for the first one now is not the direct way that we thought. It is all of the social media platforms that are policing it via the government, right? And controlling it.
I think the way they've come for it is actually through fear.
Of course.
So the whole cancel culture thing is only working because most people are afraid.
Yeah.
And so they've
right.
weaponized this virus and said, basically this is going to kill you. Millions are going to die. You have to do this, follow all these regulations because people might die.
Right.
And they've terrified the populace. And so I think that's the core thing.
That's right. No, you're right.
If God's people would say this is not something we're going to be afraid of, then the rest of it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think they're able to manipulate us with these things because people have by and large bought into the fear.
Yeah, well, and I think that's the key. Like you kind of have the left and the hegemony. Like they control that background narrative of like the psyche of the average American at this point on the words you think you're allowed to use, the things you're allowed to say, and they're able to control that narrative in the backdrop. So when you go out in the public, you don't say when racism comes up, no one talks about fatherlessness anymore. When I was little,
but they shut it down.
They shut it down
real quick.
I always think of when I was little, Murphy Brown was this woman who had a child out of wedlock, and Dan Quayle made a comment, and everyone lost their minds. But no one talks about that. Just in 30 years, the discussion was willing to say, hey, women shouldn't be having babies out of wedlock too. That's not even on the table. That's not even part of the discussion.
Right.
So the narrative's so shift that I think that this fear and everything else that Toby's talking about, I think that's the root issue. And as a church, I think the root issue is we fear man, not God. And there's no fear of God in the church. If you talk about fear of God in the church, people lose their minds. I think that's the root issue.
Yeah, and we fear man instead of God because we are a guilty people.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is what's going on in California right now. I mean, Republicans have an identity crisis. They want to be accepted by culture.
Yeah.
They don't have the kind of the prevailing winds, the prevailing cultural winds are not in favor of the Republican Party and conservatives right now. And that's one of the reasons why they're so happy about Bruce Jenner in California.
Pushing the Overton window.
Back. But here, the Republicans in California actually have an opportunity right now.
Right.
They can actually say, no, Bruce, you are not a conservative.
Republicans in California.
No. but here's a good point. You can actually push back and say, no, you are not conservative.
Right.
And I think the irony is they'd win black and Hispanic voters. They might lose the bougie white people by pushing back at that point. But I think what they'd find is, oh my goodness, like even Trump, he was a disaster as far as a moral individual. But if you look at the uptick of the areas and the demographics where he's
Hispanics and black community.
And so I think a genuine conservative who can articulate a handful of things would have maybe not a genuine shot, but
Black and Hispanic people have never cared about bougie white people. First of all, they just haven't. They just haven't. They just done their thing.
What about white dudes in dresses?
You know what? It's really been sad to watch black people be emasculated because when I saw black comedians no longer were allowed to make gay jokes.
Yeah.
I was like, that's it. We're done.
Yeah.
That's happened back in 2000 when black people could not make gay jokes anymore. it was like, I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, and
Talk about Kevin Hart.
All of
he
them.
got canceled. Kevin Hart got canceled.
I even think of like listening to rap music growing up, like Brand Nubian. They'd make comments about FAGs. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that. And it was, and like that stuff would never be in the fore anymore. But through the 90s, that was just kind of normal. Here's what we rap about. You don't want to be effeminate, and you don't want to be a twat and all that sort of stuff. And you would never have that today. And so just that shift in 20 years, pretty amazing.
So I've been talking with guys about this gun stuff, and something that I thought was really interesting. So if there ever, first of all, I just want to say there will not be a knock on the door because they've already been knocking at the door. Right. They've already been knocking at the door.
You're going to go into your closet to get your gun, and you're going to find one of the ATF members in your closet.
They're already there because they told you how big to have your closet. They've already told you how big to have your closet. They already told you how many studs you can have in your house. They've already told you how high you can have it. And they've already been controlling that. So there's a lot of areas that we need to push back. We have options though. But one of my friends really gave me a lot of advice about this, and I thought this was really good, and that would be helpful as we're thinking about this. He said, "Listen." Buy the guns you want and then sell them and buy the guns from other people that they have that you want. So, Keith, oh, wow, that's really nice that you got that gun. I'll buy that from you. Would you like this gun over here? Oh, wow. Yeah. And so as you start to mix up what's there, no one has any track of that at some point. Make it 6 degrees of separation, okay? Yeah. And then what you can do after that is, in war, deception is really important, okay? When they come knocking, or if they ever come knocking directly, give them something. Give them a high point. Have the high point. Oh, wow. Here it goes. Here you go, man. You're right. That way it buys you time.
Like give me a BB gun or something?
Well, give them something that is yeah, whatever. Give them something that's really not that valuable.
I was planning on that. I had a boating accident and I dropped it in the water.
Yes.
Do you know how many guns are on the bottom of Coeur d'Alene Lake? I mean, everybody I know in northern Idaho has lost a gun
in Coeur d'Alene Lake.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It really has its boating conditions.
But the problem is if you don't have anything and they know that you had something, that's not going to sell. Right, but if you
Coeur d'Alene Lake is really deep,
but if you can give them something, they go away. Yeah. Right, we have to learn how to be able to do that.
I do think there is something. Back to Sheriff Wheeler, I think there is a mass. I mean, based on the sales of ammunition and guns.
Yeah.
But like through every month,
2020 through the roof.
New record of sales.
Yeah.
Okay. There's something, I don't know if it's all good or not, but there is something in the American psyche in a bunch of the red states, that I think Wheeler is tapping into, saying there's something there that it's not the same across the board. I think you're right. I think there's likely going to be a clash somehow in this, because I don't think, despite the way we've rolled over on abortion, despite the way we've rolled over on all the tranny stuff, despite the way we've rolled over on a homo mirage and all the rest of it, there's something about not my guns that really does make the blood boil with a lot of kind of red-blooded Americans.
Which is why they won't come from it. That's why they come with red flag laws.
Yeah, but I think even there, you're right. It may just be the slow, the boiling water, kind of thing, where they're just going to slowly keep turning up the heat, and then we're going to be stuck in there.
Well, one thing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But you've got. Have you seen how many guns?
Yeah, I know, and more than half of those people are wearing masks to say freedom.
That's right.
Here's when I look at this, I'm looking and saying, okay, these people are buying guns, they're learning how to handle guns. Every time that there is a mass, let's say there's a big earthquake, we build things for earthquakes. We build houses for earthquakes, but it's never the same one. We never plan for the future because we don't have that kind of vision. We always plan for the past.
Right.
And so when we put up things like we plan for slavery, slavery's bad.
Right.
But then we're enslaving everybody,
right.
and people don't even know it because they like it. And so we never see we don't have we don't learn from our history where our blind spots are.
That's right.
And so when it comes time, we'll totally say, well, yeah, everything's going on in Chicago. That's really bad. Those people need gun licenses. Right?
Right.
And so, but it's happened through history. Almost all gun legislative laws have been to keep lower class citizens from being able to have guns.
Right.
And so but guess who actually needs it? If you're in the hood, you're in the ghetto,
you need to defend yourself.
You need to be able to defend yourself.
Because the cops won't come.
Yeah, exactly. No, they won't. Yeah. To clean up the mess.
I do want to give a short answer to Keith's question when we come back on just when to shoot.
Yeah, when to shoot.
I got a short answer.
Oh, I think I got an answer.
It's not filled out yet, but
yeah, go baptize your kids. That's shoot. Okay, more cross politics when we come back. When to shoot and a little conference recap.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations. Our most precious commodity is time. No one has ever lied on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time making money. They all wish they had spent more time creating a legacy. Our modern education system steals that legacy, steals that time from our children. That's why I'm passionate about homeschooling. That's why at Classical Conversations we want to give you more time to create that legacy, follow your passions, and glorify God. Visit classicalconversations.com for more information.
So that was your favorite part of the rally?
That was my favorite part. Please, I'm going to eat, y'all.
Welcome back to Cross Politic. This is the, South Dakota rally wrap-up show.
Politics of sex.
Politics of sex, Second Amendment rights, when to shoot.
Segment.
And how Sean Hannity is trying to get Bruce Jenner elected in California.
Sean Hannity goes trans. Wow.
Right.
I never thought I'd see that.
Fox News. Hey, so one of the questions I got right after the live show from individuals at the conference in South Dakota was, but wait, but when do we shoot? And that's what Keith was just asking back a minute ago.
So at what point is it bad enough where we need to take up arms to defend?
Here's my short answer. It's three points. Number one, you have the right to defend your life. So self-defense.
Yeah.
If somebody is shooting at you, if your life is in danger,
that's right.
You have a biblical right and duty, actually, to do your best to defend yourself, your property, your family. So if you're getting shot at, and you can defend yourself.
Yeah.
Number two, you need a lesser magistrate. You in order to go to battle, in order to go to war, you have to have someone that God has deputized with the sword.
Yeah.
So you may not, with all your buddies or your cul-de-sac or your neighborhood or your county, get together and create your own militia. Now you can practice on your own and you can do that with your buddies, but you may not go to war. You may not go to battle without a minister of God who's been given the weapon of the sword. So a lesser magistrate, which can be a sheriff, could be a mayor, could be a judge, could be a governor. Those are magistrates that have been installed by God, and they can be used to lead you to defend your life and your property.
Right.
But third, you really do also have to have some tactical feasibility. This goes to Nate's talk at the conference, which is how to not suck. And one of his central points was, don't run into certain destruction.
That's right.
Tactically,
right.
don't be the Scots in kilts, running at the Brits, getting mowed down. Now there is faithful martyrdom. We know that.
Yeah.
But we want to use our minds. We want to be thoughtful and wise, and don't be tactically stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you and your three buddies are going up against, the U.S. Army, that's stupid. And even if one of your buddies happens to be a sheriff deputy,
right,
that's still stupid.
Yeah.
So that's my answer is, you can always defend your life with lethal force for self-defense purposes.
Yep.
You need to have a civil magistrate, and you need to have some tactical feasibility.
You're wise.
And again, tactical feasibility doesn't mean you're guaranteed to win.
Yeah.
It could be long odds still, but don't be dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, tied to your point, talking to Sheriff Wheeler, I realized how important electing a good sheriff was.
Oh, my goodness.
It's one of those things, like, it was never on my radar. You drive around town and you see, vote so-and-so for sheriff. Now it's kind of like, okay, who's running for sheriff? What do they believe? What do they hold to?
Exactly.
So even very practically coming out of this, like, go pay attention as much as anything to who your sheriff is, because they wield a lot of authority.
And ask them, the thing is chances are really good that in your county, you can message your sheriff or get coffee or lunch with him, and he will respond.
That's right.
Like, chances are really good in most counties that you can do that.
We've all gotten together with our sheriff.
Yeah, we've met with our sheriff multiple times. Yeah. And he's been very responsive. Appreciate that about him, even though we've differed on how he's handled things.
Yeah.
But you can ask very pointed questions now.
Yeah.
Like, you should have a list of questions. If COVID, 20 happens, if COVID 24 happens, if another one comes down, how do you handle it? Right. Will you obey health mandates? Will you submit to a governor overreaching their authority? Right. How will you handle this if we're singing psalms outside? And the cops want to come arrest me. Yeah. Those are pointed questions you need to ask all your local politicians.
That's right.
Your city council, your mayor, your sheriff, representatives.
I want to say all that you said and re-wrap it in. You can shoot when beauty hasn't won. And what I mean by that is, do you have a good restaurant in your town that you are invested in? Do you invite people into your home with hospitality? Mm-hmm. We think about evangelism, but I'm talking about in the culture, in the community,
You're
in your
about,
county.
You're talking about gospel in flesh.
I'm talking about gospel in the flesh, not being trans.
Gospel in whiskey.
That's right. I'm talking about
gospel in steak.
Yeah, when you were open there preaching, you talk about this story. This guy was coming up and was cursing you out and having a fit, and you said, "Hey, man, let's go have a beer afterward."
Yeah.
Come to find out, he actually went out and had a beer with you. And you guys had a great conversation.
We did.
That's beautiful. It throws them off. That's fight, laughing, and feasting, right? And so, what we need to make sure we have plenty of options. We can still start businesses, businesses that influence people. When Chick-fil-A went through their whole big hoopla about not supporting homosexual marriage.
Traditional
there
marriage.
were a lot of gay people who were like, I ain't striking against Chick-fil-A. That chicken sandwich too good, though.
That's right.
Look, y'all gay people can go and kiss all you want Chick-fil-A. I'm getting my chicken sandwich on. Because there's an argument from beauty that, atheists don't doubt belly laughs.
And this is why everyone hate the liberals. Their number one targets is the Babylon Bee.
Right. Exactly.
Because they are laughing, and laughter is warfare.
It is warfare. And so if you're not doing things that are beautiful to influence the culture, you're part of the problem.
Right.
So when you're running for your guns, it's like, wait a second, what have you done? And what investment have you given to the community to say, no, the gospel is good, guys? The gospel is great. We have plenty of opportunity to exhaust first before we ever run to the closet.
That's right.
And also, along with that, while you're making sure that people know the gospel is good and tastes good, it's fun, make sure that people know, too, that you're deadly.
Yeah. I think this is why...
I mean that. Because, and I want to say this real quick, and I'll let you have it. When you walk next to a big guy or somebody who's a threat, you run the calculation.
Right.
You do it by default. If he ever decide to come at me, I'm in trouble. Carry a big stick. Yeah, use it for good. Yeah, right. But let them run the calculation. Your sheriff, he's going to want to make sure this guy's the nicest guy in the community, and he's deadly. I love this guy.
Amen.
Total side. Sorry to interrupt, but you realize why the left needs to go after comedy. Because if people are laughing at something, and you're able to laugh at trans, you're able to laugh at homosexuality, you're able to laugh at these things, it just changes the narrative. And if you're not allowed to laugh at that stuff, then you suddenly take perverse things
and this
serious.
goes back to the beginning. This is why it was Sean Hannity's interview of Bruce Jenner is a complete fail. It's a complete fail for conservatives, and Sean Hannity now needs to get laughed off the stage.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because he took a joke seriously. He didn't laugh. God gave him a chance. Here's a clown. Here's a man dressed up like a woman. Laugh. Do not take it seriously. Sean Hannity took it seriously for 35 minutes, 45 minutes. Okay.
In front of the world.
He needs to be completely, he needs to repent in dust and ashes. He needs to be laughed off the stage. He needs to be laughed off the stage because he took Bruce seriously.
It's even all of Fox, though.
Yeah, it is.
How could they watch that?
They all were, again, Emperor's new clothes. Where's the kid with the balls to say, you're naked? You're a dude in a dress.
They don't have anymore.
Is Tucker going to do it?
No,
Tucker might.
I don't know.
Tucker might.
Tucker
I'm like,
I don't.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
He works for Fox. If I was on Fox right now, and if I was Tucker, I'd be saying all sorts of things about this interview right now.
Somebody has to blaspheme that God.
Can't let this happen.
Somebody has to blaspheme that God. Now, when you do it, you'll get roasted.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
But ultimately, their God's impotent. That's why we can do it. You have to realize that at the end of the day, they're intimate. Right now, they seem mighty. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, man, there's so many giants in the land.
Right.
And so they do seem like they have a powerful force. But at the end of the day, the simplicity of us showing up with a couple stones and laughter.
Yeah, their God is a tranny. I mean, their God is a dude dressed up like a woman. Like it's like, think about that and then mock it.
I just think it's funny how Keith pointed out earlier how the Kardashians just destroy all the men around them.
They do. They've ruined them all.
Kanye West,
Kanye's broken.
Bruce Jenner, Lamar Odom. I mean,
stay away from
the Kardashians. They just break them.
If you get a chance to date the Kardashians, stay away from them. Stay away. The money might be alluring. They might be good looking. I don't know. But stay away. They will break you.
Dating advice from Keith.
Yeah, from the single guy. The Kardashians want to date me. I'm available.
All of this is why we're going to go back to Nashville in September to hit politics of sex. And I don't think people realize how potent sex is. And we mean this sort of across the board. I mean it in terms of your male and female identity in Christ.
Jesus,
the power of being a man created in the image of God. The power of being a woman created in the image of God. And then the power of marriage. Men and women coming together in the covenant of marriage, making immortal souls, making new people who will live forever. That's potent.
Right.
And there's a reason why our culture that hates Jesus, hates the gospel, hates the resurrection, hates the God who made them, is at war with that. I mean, that's our, I don't even know where it started, why we call it the nuclear family.
Yeah.
But it's nuclear.
Yeah.
Like, why do they not want us to have that nuclear power?
Yeah.
Why do they not want us to have it? Why are they shoving pornography down our throats? Why are they celebrating abortion? Why are they celebrating tranny perversions?
Homosexuality.
And all of it. Because they want to destroy the armor and the weapons that God's given us to fight.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that's what your sexuality is for. It's good and glorious, and it's potent.
Go baptize your kids if you have children.
I just needed to throw that in there because I was just thinking. So
I knew you coming.
Oh, did everybody hear that? Can you hear it in your? Okay, I just want to make sure.
It's really amazing as Toby lays those things out. You think of sex like everything our culture is doing is against creation. Like women, instead of being fruitful and multiplying, we'll kill the children. We'll hold off on having any kids. If we get pregnant, we don't like it, we'll kill it. We'll eradicate the male-female. We'll eradicate marriage. Everything that God set forth in creation, our culture is in rebellion against.
Chemical castration for it all.
Yeah, that's right.
And
even right now, I think there was an article, I can't remember where I saw it, that we right now in America are not populating enough, and I think we're down 4%, which is pretty massive.
What's hitting right now, though, is interesting. The New York Times just did a story on this. I think maybe the Wall Street Journal as well. But the jobless claims report just came in for April, and it was massively under what they were expecting. And what we're finding is, I mean, there's multiple layers of this, but there are not enough workers in the economy.
Wow.
And some of my friends in economic modeling have been talking about how the fact that part of it is, the Congress extended welfare benefits you don't have to pay taxes on, and you make as much money sitting on the home in your mom's basement on the couch, eating Funyuns, and you don't have to pay taxes on it. That's part of it. We're incentivizing that. But the other part is there's actually a bubble coming up of a massive population problem. In fact, in 2020, we were joking about it on the show. We thought I thought COVID
babies.
I thought we might have a COVID bump.
Yeah. And because all these people locked out,
and I think
staying home.
Having sex.
And
making babies. And I think maybe among Christians, maybe we'll get a Christian COVID bump.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Praise God.
But overall in America, we saw birth rate plummet in 2020.
Ask anybody that's been doing abortion clinic work in 2020. They'll tell you there's been an increase
in abortions.
Really? So it lines out the door.
Really?
So
maybe there really has been.
There have been more children,
but we've been murdering them.
We have a way to get rid of them
at a higher rate.
Right.
But regardless, I don't think people understand this when you do not. Population experts were estimating that I think it was 2064. They believed that in America we were going to be tipping over the edge of replacement rate. I think is right. And there are new estimates now that believe that COVID 2020 might have actually pushed that up a decade or more. So we lost 10 years or more of potentially replacement population.
Right.
But that is suicide for a culture.
That's right.
It's suicide when you don't have enough workers to replace the work. I mean, it's actually, we've been fed these lies of overpopulation for years, not recognizing that God made this place. He made it for people to be fruitful and multiply. Right. And when they are fruitful and they multiply under the blessing of God, with His grace upon them, it is good for the world. It's good for the planet.
And it's also funny when you think of they're worried about overpopulation and then they lose their minds over COVID. I just think it's a good way to cull the population. You know what I mean? If you're really worried about there being too many people on the planet, let COVID run loose and let nature have its way and cull the population.
Let me go without a vaccine if I want to.
Just go with it.
But Keith, you don't understand. They want to be the gods.
Yeah, no, I understand what they're doing. I'm just saying it's a little like wink, wink. Hey guys, overpopulation, but no one can die. You know what I mean?
What happened to Darwin?
Survival
of the fittest, people.
Through war, death, and famine come higher forms of species. Yeah. So we should see this as a way to weed out the weak, and we'll get some stronger species out of it.
Their logic, though, is like Bruce's logic, where they say, well, common sense. So they're not thinking very common sense, because when we think about overpopulation, first of all, we're going out to space, folks. Just so everybody knows this. Just saying.
That's right.
We're going out to Mars. It's going to
Mars.
happen. So that's not a problem. But I've seen America, just America. We ain't overpopulated.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, too.
My wife always says that when we drive through Wyoming.
Yeah.
Or North Dakota.
We just drove from Spokane to Moscow, and I was thinking about that the other day. Like, there is nothing out here.
There's nothing. But the other thing is, too, that people forget that human beings themselves become actual resources.
That's right.
They become power.
They are the most valuable resource in the universe.
That's right. Yes.
In the created universe, people are the most valuable resource, and we are destroying that resource.
That's right.
By the minute, by the second, as we murder our little ones.
Judgment is killing the very blessing that God gives you. Right? And we're killing it every time. You know, it's just the same way with abortion when it comes to black culture. Like, guys, it breaks my heart. Somehow they got us to kill our own babies.
Yeah.
By the truckloads. I was reading a study.
Yeah.
It was in Mississippi. The population there is killing them. Black people are killing themselves 3 times more than the normal population. They're the minority in the population. 3 times more? Could you imagine? What we at 60 million babies aborted? All those, we wouldn't be minorities in America in the same way.
Imagine some dad, some black dad in the slave trade seeing what we have here now.
Seeing
the black community abort their children.
It wouldn't compute. But it's like that. That'd be the thing. But the other thing is, they got you to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's the thing. That's the mental part of it. Like they actually got you to kill your own seed.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Yeah. It's like God giving you these massive bricks of gold.
This is
like power and glory.
Yes.
Here. And we're just chucking them overboard.
And out pops a calf.
We're chucking them overboard, and we're saying, no, we don't want that glory. We don't want that power. We don't want that goodness.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. And the other thing, it goes back to what you were talking about with the Second Amendment thing is, and this ties in with actually Doug's talk. One of Doug's talks at the rally, Pastor Doug gave this talk about love and hate. Yeah. And he said we fight for those things that we love.
Yep.
And this is why you build a business, you build a family, you build a household. You have things, you make things that are beautiful.
Yeah.
And then you defend those things. That's right. And they go together. And the beauty is it draws people in. A lot of this is, why are people murdering their babies? Because they're terrified, because they're afraid, because they don't know. I don't know, because they're sinners.
Right.
They need to be called into the beauty of the gospel.
Amen.
Right. But back to the beginning, the beauty of the gospel is not the secret inside your soul. The beauty of the gospel is it begins in your heart. Yep. But it bleeds out into everything.
It's apple pie.
Works its way out.
Taste and see that the Lord is good.
It's wine.
This is why baptizing your babies matters. Right. This is why feasting on the Sabbath matters. It's why worshiping with God's people without masks matters. Right. All of this is. It's Pastor Doug likes to say theology coming out your fingertips.
That's
it's
right.
the gospel coming out your fingertips. Right. It's gospel in goblets, gospel on your plate. It's gospel around your table.
And you can't help it.
And that's why I think the resurrection, we do a pretty good job as Protestants on atonement theology, and I'm not nixing that in the least. But we don't talk about the resurrection enough.
That's right.
And when you start pounding home the resurrection, not only Christ but ours, then everything begins to fall, because then the physical world falls into place. Because right now, when you're just out there to save souls, well, what does that do with my body? So when you go and preach the gospel, when you're preaching the gospel, you are, as much as you are laying out atonement theology, you're laying out resurrection theology.
That's right.
And
because if Christ didn't raise from the dead, then the atonement doesn't affect.
We're still on our
work.
sins. We're still on our sins. And all through Acts are just pounding home the resurrection. This Jesus who you recently killed, he's risen. Now he has all authority to obey him. Right. And we look forward to the resurrection of the dead. So it's the resurrection. And if we just keep pounding that home, then the sacraments fall into place. So many things. But because we've nullified the resurrection is almost like an apologetic. Oh, dead men don't rise. Jesus rose from the dead. He must be God. Well, he rose from the dead because he was a righteous man. He didn't rise from the dead just because he was God. He rose from the dead because he was a righteous man.
And he rose from the dead in this very current world that we're living in. He didn't rise from the dead in some storybook somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, the dirt. This is the very dirt that he rose from the dead from in this world.
And in 1 Corinthians 15, which is that's the topic of the whole chapter, is the resurrection, why it matters so much, and that the fact that Jesus must reign until he puts all his enemies beneath his feet. The last enemy will be death itself.
Yes.
And then death itself will be destroyed when he raises us from the dead.
Yeah.
And then the very end of that chapter is, so do not lose heart, because the works that you do now are not in vain.
Amen.
Like what you're doing here, what you're building here.
Come on now.
We don't know exactly how it all connects.
Right.
Like, when Jesus returns and we're raised, what I'm doing here right now, the house I just built, the children that you're feeding, the worship that you're offering on the Lord's Day, the businesses you're making, I don't know how it connects, but the promise is that my life and all that I do in some ways is like a seed.
God
on
is
now,
going
you
to connect
preach
it.
And it's all going into the ground. It's not in vain. It doesn't just disappear.
Come on now.
No good thing ever gets lost.
Right.
Jesus is going to raise every good thing.
Amen.
Our bodies, our lives, the things we did. And I think there's going to be glorious ways that we never even imagined, but things we made, things we painted, songs we sung, all that.
We're going to be like,
stuff.
God, you bless that?
Yeah. And there it is. It's going to be glorified in the new heavens and new earth. And it's already begun now by the power of his Spirit, which is, again, why your body matters.
It does.
Why Bruce Jenner needs to get laughed off the stage. Why Sean Hannity needs to get laughed off the stage.
He's done.
Because this world matters because Jesus bought it with his blood and he rose from the dead here in order to make everything new.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
We did not design a cookie-cutter curriculum meant to chop students into appropriately shaped submissives or snowflakes for the secular zeitgeist. We designed our curriculum the way we did because we want our graduates to be equipped to stand courageously against that destructive zeitgeist and to honor their maker and how they, body, mind, and soul, battle to save their communities and the entire Western world from our current diseased insanity. New St. Andrews College is not in the business of rubber stamping graduates for this particular job market or that particular career. We aren't happy unless our graduates are equipped to tackle any constructive cultural task anywhere, from courtrooms to hospitals to job sites to movie sets to the highest risk job and the most important setting of all, the raising and training of the next generation of immortal souls around dining room tables and in pews. The world may have gone mad, but it's not the first time. It has been saved before and by particular people, many of whom shared a very particular type of education. Augustine, Calvin, Jefferson, Churchill, and many lesser-known heroes in times of madness all had one type of education, one type of training in common. And it's the same kind of rigorous education we currently pursue surrounded by the rolling wheat fields of Idaho. By God's grace, our civilization will be saved, or rebuilt, from the smoking ruins. The men and women capable of such a task, capable of fearless joy and fiery laughter, all while undertaking such hard cultural labor, those are the kind of graduates we want, the kind we expect. They are why we exist, and why we teach what we teach. So you might call it a major in world building, or culture shaping, or a major in saving civilization. We call it classical Christian liberal arts. New St. Andrews College, saving civilization since 1994.